theoretical course, we're learning about the car, the switchgear, the dashboard, and so forth. So I've got my translator earbud, like at the United Nations, listening to the translation of both the car and the theoretical leading up to the This is a little more than I bargained for already. It just gives you an idea how serious they are. And a Mercedes customer is used to being treated well, but here, there's no two ways. You know, racing is serious business. The forces in the car are quite high. And so, like everything else, you start, they assess where you are, and they give you a baseline. And then they say, do you want to get better? This is what you need to do. And I need to stop talking because I'm getting out of breath, but I've got some work to do.
So we have a neck massage and a relaxing chair, and we look at the pulse rate, the heart rate during your competition.
As much as I like you guys, I need some rest. We have a long, fun day tomorrow, starting at 7 a.m. with a jog and some stretching. Good night. Well, you know, it's early in the morning. It's just 7 o'clock. Sun's coming up, and so another way to wake up, not just the body, but the brain. Here we are getting our gear, and it's not quite as sexy as backstage at New York Fashion Week, but you'll find that racers are just as into their equipment, their shoes, their gloves, their accessories as women are to their high fashion accessories. Suit, helmet, all my gear. Well, here we are, Lausitzring. It's time to finally drive. We've had our morning fitness check. Now I'm in the SLS AMG road car and about to go out and do our first driving guided laps on the racetrack. Standing here with 4 of the instructors. All 4 of these gentlemen raced in the 24 hours, the famed 24 hours of Nürburgring just over a week ago. And now you guys are instructing riding right seat with all of us. What was it like the first time you turned a student loose in this car? Were you nervous?
Actually, of course, I guess all of us, we are a little bit nervous in the beginning, but then after a while you get the trust band and then it works perfect. So.
Here you can see the speed and also the engine temperature. Brake pressure, you can press the brake now to 50. We say we check it with 50, you know, then we can see the brake balance.
First time in the SLS AMG GT3. We're going out on the big oval and we're going to do an exercise where we get familiar with the upshift and downshift without worrying about the line on the racetrack. So just go out, get familiar with how the car feels and so forth, and the paddle shifters, and get the overall feel.
Just go back to second. Only in front of the pit, then we use the pit. How fast? Yeah, it's okay. in general, your first impression?
It's so nice. I mean, it's a race car, but the last race cars I drove were fairly crude, and this is nice and refined. You know, it's got buttons and paddle shifts and pit speed limits, and so that's all new to me. You know, the only time I've seen a view like this with you know, the driver display and the paddle shifts and the buttons is actually on a video game.
First of all, I really appreciated you and Brian are here and joining us here on our warm-up and training session.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you say. We like to make the customers feel like a race car driver.
It's been my dream since I was young to race for Mercedes and DTM.
It felt like an awesome race car. I mean, you could really hustle it in, you could get it through the center, use the curbs, get on the gas. Felt great.
Reiny,
Appreciate it,
you
yeah.
bet.
Thank you, sir.
Start your engines, let's go.
Absolutely. You ready to go back out?
I am.
And you can switch on the ignition. Yeah. Okay, if you're ready, you can drive.
Let the car work by itself. Just let it roll, and then I'll pick it up again. How much speed you need to carry with rolling resistance?
I would love that, actually. I think that would help a lot.
All right, good job, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Daniel, you have just completed the warm-up, GT3, SLS AMG GT3 warm-up. How was it?
Not great, more than great. So the feeling was very high to drive a so fast car with these conditions. It's my first time that I drive a GT3, and you see my smile, I'll be happy.
I've been impressed because this is the first time I've actually been through the event as a participant, and it's unbelievable, you know, in terms of tweaking the seat, and it's like the Ritz-Carlton of driving.
And I think it's also a combination of flexibility. Each individual and their driving skills, and maybe they don't want to do something at some time, and they want to change their schedule. The answer is always, yes, we can do it. Yes. And that is very unique. So as an experience, this really is the most professional driving academy, I believe, out there.
This is bromance right here.
Oh yeah, you're driving it way deeper into that corner. I mean, you're making it work. I'm just not going in there right. Woo! Hold on tight. Yeah, baby. Woo! There it is.
That's fun, isn't it?
Oh man, that is awesome. There it is. Getting brake. You're not kidding. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
One cool thing about this car, when Mercedes designed it, they designed it to be a full-blown race car, but also to be purely a customer car rather than a factory car. The fact that the right seat is as well designed with the safety cage and the horn device and the headrest and all that really speaks to, you know, this is the kind of car that someone that wants to get better, that wants to have a top-notch race car, and they really were focused from the start, whereas this one is where they said, we want to build the ultimate customer car. That felt really good, really good.
Thanks, buddy. That was good.
You bet.
All right, let's do it again.
Just like the SLS AMG broke new ground for Mercedes-Benz and AMG in road cars, the SLS AMG GT3 does the exact same thing in the customer racing car division. Like everything, they didn't want to just dip their toe in timidly. They said, we are going to go with the best. And so they came up with a set of criteria. It needs to be fast. It needs to be competitive. It needs to be easy to work on. It needs to be customer friendly. It needs to be set up for training. And so this is the result. And the car is spectacular. You look at it in an instant, you know it is all business as a race car. We have to do it in a very special, very methodical, researched way. So they set out with a list of things that the car needed to be. First and foremost, it had to be very safe. It had to be a pure racing car, but it also had to be easy to drive. It had to have adjustability so that a beginner could be comfortable in the car, but also a factory race car driver like Bernd Schneider or Thomas Jäger would also enjoy driving the car. To that end, there are now close to 50 cars in customer hands around the world, racing in series all over the world. Over 250,000 kilometers of racing miles, and they collect all that information and they continue to update the car for wear, reliability, and customer friendliness. But one of the things that's most impressive to me that shows that Mercedes says, okay, we have to do it, it has to be competitive in the race world, but it's still a Mercedes-Benz. And so with AMG, they went to HWA, who's been building the DTM cars for years, and built this car. But the fact that the right seat is not an afterthought. The driver's seat, utmost in safety, has a carbon fiber reinforced safety cell built so that the Hans can be integrated into the actual seat itself. If you drive in a regular road car seat with a Hans device, it's not very comfortable. Everything was thought out ahead of time. The passenger seat is the same. There's extra roll cage protection for a driving coach or instructor to sit in the right seat, full belts, so forth. There's an intercom system so you can speak freely between the driver and the instructor. And then also the adjustment, the traction control, the ABS have 10 positions. You can turn them off completely, although even the pro drivers, everybody has their own styles and what settings they want. And the fun thing about the actual academy is sometimes you go somewhere and they'll have a race car and then the cars that the customers drive. Here, you can drive the car that Mika Häkkinen raced in Zhuhai. You can have the car that Hans Heyer's son raced at the Spa 24 Hours. All the cars are exactly the same. The car as it is delivered is the same as a car that a factory driver like Bernd Schneider or Thomas Jäger would race at the VLN race at Nürburgring or what have you. It's beautiful to look at, makes great noise, and does all the right things. The SLS AMG GT3.